Louisville, the Zimbabweans tell us that the rainbow is going to be even brighter, even more spectacular than what we've seen before. So we're going to see how they step it up over the years.
Well, the KC flight team is pretty spectacular already. Yeah. Already in the air. Let's take you up and take a look at them here. Started with 4 guys, and they went up now to 16, a civilian formation team. Look at that. Perfection in the sky. Been doing this since 2009. They're aerobatic. They constantly practice. And my favorite factoid about them is they even perform at high school football games. My high school could not afford them, but that is fantastic if you're at a high school football game and the KC flight team is your halftime entertainment.
So, Barry, we've seen so many planes, but when you have planes like this and they're aligned perfectly, that takes a lot of communication and hard work.
Yeah, coordination and practice and hard work, absolutely. So they will run through their routine, because you've noticed that the formation is constantly changing. Mm-hmm. They'll come in and intentionally stay right in formation, and then they change their formation up, and all that coordination. Yeah, a lot of practice. You can tell these guys love having aviation as their hobby because they spend a lot of time doing it.
You know what it reminds me of? Like birds in the sky. When
Isn't
they're
that
kind
cool?
of like taking shape and shifting and moving around.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so much is taken just from the beauty of watching a formation of geese fly by. And a lot of those same aerodynamic qualities that the geese have is what they incorporate in the aviation.
When you see the smoke trailing, that's because they've got a mixture, right, that goes in with the oil?
Yeah, they actually see in the exhaust. Exactly right, John. They just dump some type of oil. Sometimes it's baby oil, sometimes it's other formulas, but dump it in the exhaust, vaporizes, and kind of gives a nice little visual for the smoke. And
visually, the planes don't look exactly alike, right? There's little differences.
Yeah, so these are all privately owned airplanes. They're all RVs, so I think they're all home-built airplanes. Very safe to fly, but yeah, they all have their own unique paint.
You know what they look like? They look like when you bring your son in here, Myra, to the store, and he wants to buy a
all
toy.
Of those, yeah.
And there's a little set of like 9 planes, all individually painted, and that's what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very beautiful.
My son has a collection of these things, and Zach just loves to take them around and, on the ground, do a little formation with them, and yeah, that's all fun stuff.
Can you explain to us in layman's terms? I've always wondered how, when they're up there, look how close they are right now, on the top especially.
Yeah.
How you avoid, is there a sensor or something that kicks off? How you avoid actually nicking a wing?
So there'll be a lead, and everybody that flies off the lead. So if you're number 2 in that, okay, so there, in this case, you see formation right now, there's 3 people leading.
Yep.
And the one in front, the guy in the middle is watching him, and all he's doing is flying off of him, a position off of him. And the people that are closer in the formation, they have one particular airplane they look at. They look at the wingtip and the tail, and they just stay right in that position. So they don't really even know where the other airplanes are. They just look at one airplane at all the time.
Well, okay, so to use an analogy we've used before, when I'm out biking with a bunch of guys and my only job is to look at the rear tire of the bike in front of me.
So when you're drafting, that's exactly what you're doing.
Okay,
yeah.
Well then what happens when I screw up and I nick that tire and then I go into a crash like I have before, and then like everybody behind me crashes?
Yeah. So Rob talks about, it's typically in the military, especially the 3 feet wingtip separation. There's also a lateral separation, so there's a little bit lower. Yeah. So it's all very safe. Again, as stated before, a lot of practice goes into it. The visual appearance that you have here, I mean, it looks like they're almost touching here, right?
It sure does.
And there's vertical separation built into that. So it's not as close as it looks. I don't want to take anything away from these guys. They're amazing aviators. But yeah, when you factor in the lateral separation and the wingtip to wingtip separation.
And they hit the trigger on the smoke at exact same moment. All of them.
So they're all in on the same frequency. And again, lead is making a countdown, just like you guys do every day when you're doing your job. 3, 2, 1, smoke.
What's
hit a button.
it like to have 9 planes kind of flying all together? That can be also very dangerous.
I will tell you, I've never done a 9-ship in close formation like that. So I'm sure it takes a lot of coordination to do it. The cool parts to me are when they separate and they come back in together. That's where a lot of coordination is really involved, and a lot of practice, because they draw out these routines on the ground, go through them, memorize them, and then they go out in the air and start practicing.
So what do they say? Do they say to one another, now we're doing the blah, blah, blah formation? Like, do they have names for it? They know exactly what to do?
Yeah, they know at every point in the formation what's coming next. So when they say, I'll just use the term bombers, probably not what they use, but they say bombers, they know that if you're on the far right side, you're going to make a break off at 2 Gs and go to a 30-degree off your heading or something like that. So but it's all, again, all planned, choreographed, memorized, so they know exactly what the next maneuver coming is, and they just basically just give the timing to have the airplanes move apart.
Okay, well, as we look at that big old loop-the-loop, smoke-filled sky, let's get over to Ryan at the airport for the latest.
All right, guys, yeah, it's all about the Navy out here. We've got the E-18 Growlers in motion here. We are, of course, going to see them in just a little bit. Want to get to our next Hokie weather fact, or thunder fact, if you will. What has the massive finale of Thunder over Louisville's fireworks show been historically called? I got 3 options here for you. The Motherlode, Gargantua, or Mammoth. And it's my favorite word ever, Gargantua. All right, we got some live music and the F8 Bearcat coming at you when Waves coverage of Thunder over Louisville continues right after these messages.